Morning Raptor Freak Alexios here. Thursday Think Tank. Today we're talking about free agency. We're talking about possibilities of the Rudy Gobert trade. We're talking about possible people to draft this year in the NBA draft at 33 in the second round for the Toronto Raptors. So everything's on the table. Whatever you guys want to talk about as far as speculating off-season kind of stuff, we're here to talk about it. Now, first, I just want to talk a little bit about some of the playoff action last night. Fantastic stuff in the games last night. Really cool games, like very competitive, all kinds of different, like fun, exciting games. Like that Milwaukee Boston game last night was very intense. Like, they were really going at it. And they both really, really wanted it, but Milwaukee wanted it just a little bit more. And they ended up winning by 3 points last night to take a lead in the series 3-2. That's absolutely fantastic. I want to see this series go all the way to 7 games. And, that means Boston's got to win the next one. But that's the thing. Boston's got to do it on the Milwaukee court because they just lost their game last night in Boston. So that means the next one's in Milwaukee. So Milwaukee can close out the series and put the Celtics out in their next game, game 6. Fantastic. Giannis really, really wanted that game, and he took it. Click 2 a.m. Good morning. Good to see you. Anything we're talking about today, anything off season, any kind of speculation, any kind of stuff like that. Click is rooting for the Bucks as well, just like I am. Last night. I was sitting with my girl, and we're saying "fucks the Celtics," and we're just saying that in general. Even we're like "go Bucks," and the Celtics were winning for a lot of that game. They had it under control, and then Milwaukee. Good job closing it out. A true superstar, Giannis Antetokounmpo, getting it done against Boston. Yeah. So I think we're all in the same here. I am Shanky's come in and said that he hates the Celtics too. So we can all get behind Giannis stepping up big and messing up the Celtics last night. Let's see what else. You click saying Giannis and Holiday were amazing. Yeah, Drew Holiday has been a really good second banana for Antetokounmpo with Middleton out. Like with Chris Middleton out right now has been a really big blow for Milwaukee, but they're weathering it really well. I'm actually really surprised how well they've been doing without Middleton because he really is an important piece of their team in a lot of different ways. So good job, Milwaukee. You got Boston on the ropes. Now just finish them. That's what I would say. Just like in Mortal Kombat, finish him. Go on and throw that chain. I want to see that, Milwaukee. Let's do it. Chris is saying, Click is saying, if Chris was playing, this series is done. Yeah, I honestly didn't give Milwaukee much of a chance against Boston because of the way Boston's been rolling in the second half of the season, the way they rolled through the first round against the Nets. And then I heard Chris Middleton was going to be out at the beginning of this series. I was like, man, Milwaukee's got a tall order against them. But this is a true testament to Giannis Antetokounmpo and the superstardom that he has and the all-round game that he has in different ways, that he can weather the loss of his number 2 and still lead this team to great victories. Because Boston at times has a really good, easy way. They do a good job of containing Giannis, but sometimes they just can't. And last night he got a 40-point game, and they weren't containing him very well last night. Click saying Chris takes away attention from Giannis with his ability to create his own shot off the dribble. Yeah, that's one of the ways that helps him free him up, because Boston has really been able to key on Giannis during this series a lot more with Middleton missing. Now, in the other series, another fantastic game last night. Very interesting stuff going on with players missing and teammates stepping up. No Ja Morant, no problem. The Grizzlies go and bust open the Golden State Warriors last night and beat them pretty damn good. I mean, I'm looking at this box score right now, and they beat them 134-95. That is a 39-point win, y'all. And that is absolutely insane in a lot of ways. They scored 42 points in the third quarter last night. And like I said, no Ja Morant. That is insane. If you had told me that Memphis was going to blow out Golden State like this with no Ja Morant on the court, I would have told you were crazy. And the thing about what Memphis is doing is they have incredible balance deep into their bench. Like, holy crap, they had like 10 guys scoring double digits. They had like 3 guys scoring 21 points. And then all throughout the bench, everybody on that team is contributing. And that really adds up to a whole lot when you have like so many guys throwing the ball in the basket. Do you get a 42-point third period and you don't miss your superstar? That is insane. The Grizzlies are really good to be able to beat the Warriors that bad without Ja Morant. It's absolutely crazy. Click saying that they were up by 55 points at one point. Wow, that is crazy. I went to bed early last night, so I'm just seeing the box score this morning. And I thought the Warriors were going to win last night for sure with Ja Morant out and stuff like that. But no, Grizzlies took care of it. I think part of that is also that they played in Memphis, and that Memphis crowd is really rabid for the Grizzlies to win in all kinds of different ways. It's very awesome. Very, very cool. All right. So today, the meat of what I want to talk about today is more Rudy Gobert talk, because this is a serious thing that we really do need to consider as Raptor Nation, as the Raptor management, as the Raptors team, is making this kind of a change, because this is actually a really big opportunity in some ways. The more I thought about it, it's like we're all saying no to this idea, but what if we were saying yes? Like, what if we were Bobby Webster and we're sitting in the office and we're really contemplating, well, how could we maximize and maybe make this thing work in some ways? Well, I look at his salary, Rudy Gobert, and he has to get paid $38 million next year. And to line up the salaries to a trade, that would mean we pretty much the couple packages would work for it. One of them would be trading Pascal and Kem Birch for him. That would line up money wise. Another one is OG and Gary Trent together would line up otherwise. And those are really the only, or Fred. It could be Fred and OG or Fred and Gary, that kind of combination. I don't like talking about this too much, but today let's just do a little bit of an exercise of what if. What if we did send Pascal Siakam and Kem Birch for Rudy Gobert? Well, how would our team change? Now, they would definitely slow us down. It would change a lot of what we've been building the last couple of years with the positionless players we've been accumulating, but it would make us a more traditional kind of team with a big pivot in different ways. It's not that we'd rely on him to score a lot, but our team might get really good defensively. Like, the crazy thing is we have such a good defensive team, but if you put one of the best defensive centers in the league in the center for us, that makes us even crazier defensively in some ways, in my opinion. Now, you get the detriment of him being slow getting up and down the court, and he's not going to be like huge on offense, but maybe he would be better on offense on our team in different ways, because maybe we try and use him more and that kind of stuff. I don't want this deal, but don't get me wrong. I'm just playing kind of a thought exercise about thinking about what if it happened and how would the Raptors look afterwards and what kind of team would we be is the kind of thing. So let me see what you guys think about it. Tom Duke is saying, bonjour, monsieur Gobert. I mean, I'm looking at Gobert's nicknames and they're kind of funny. Like, he has one nickname that's called the Stifle Tower. He's called the Stifle Tower. That's a pretty cool nickname. The French Rejection. The Gobert Rapport is one of his names. And Gobzilla. These are his nicknames. They're kind of silly. Gobzilla sounds kind of gross. But yeah, the French Rejection. That's kind of funny. I think that's kind of funny. But yeah, the more I think about it, it's like I can see where there could be benefits to it, because honestly, in some ways, he is one of the most dominant players in the league defensively at the defensive end. But it's like, I don't know. One of the problems I have with getting him is that he's a little bit older than our main vet guys. Like, he's 29 and Pascal's 27, Fred's 27, and he would be older than them. So in some ways, I worry about him taking over leadership or kind of stepping on leadership toes on our existing team ahead of time. It's like kind of like he'd have to be more like Cam to me in my book, as far as like kind of taking a back seat to the established leaders on the team. And how would that like jive? How would that work with these guys working with him if he did come to this team and he all of a sudden was a leader on this team? I don't know how that would work. Click saying, I'm telling you, Gobert will get exposed in the playoffs on the perimeter. He won't fit the way we switch on defense. Yeah, I really do side this way. like more that, he's going to be more liability in different ways than like one of our huge strengths this year was the versatility, the switchability, those kind of things. And it would go all out the window if we took our big chunk of salary and invested in him for the next few years by trading for him. And this is the thing, he's under contract till 2029. So it's like this dude would be stuck on our team for a long, long time. So it's like a commitment. It was like, you better make it work. It better be a good fit because you're going to be stuck with him otherwise. And that may be how Utah feels right now. And that's why they're kind of trying to shove him off on us. So I don't want anybody to get it wrong. I'm not advocating for a Rudy Gobert trade. I'm just doing the thought exercise of just trying to think about what would it be and how would it happen, and like who would we have to give up? What would our team change in what ways? And I don't think it's a good deal. The more I think about some of the good positives, and that they really don't outweigh the possible negatives, and the negatives of like the really bad negatives that could really hurt our chemistry and different things. And we don't want those kind of problems. So Tom Duke is saying, no, merci. He's saying, no, thank you in French. Okay. So we know Tom Duke's opinion about this. And I tend to agree with him. All right, let's see. Click 2AM is bringing up 3 years ago today, Kawhi hit that shot against Philadelphia, that 4 bounce. Yes, what a great Raptor memory of Kawhi Leonard winning that series at the last second. It was the kind of shot that it becomes in history forever. One of the greatest shots in NBA history, known of all time. Fantastic memory. And like, honestly, could you write the script any better? It's a game 7. It's the last second. Everything's tied up, and it has 4 bounces, just like in Teen Wolf. Teen Wolf, where with Michael J. Fox, he turns into Wolf and he's playing basketball, and there's that slow motion shot with the free throw where it bounces and then it falls in. Yes, it's very much like a Teen Wolf basketball movie kind of thing. Let's see. Mar Smith's here. Good to see Mar. Other teams continue to undervalue some of our guys. I think we'll have to give up way too much to get him. Yeah, I think so too. Like I just said, the 2 scenarios that I looked at realistically making the money matchup would be Pascal and Kim for Rudy Gobert, or like Fred. Pick 2 of these 3 guys: Fred, OG, or Gary. 2 of those 3 guys going the other way to get him here to make the salaries match. And I don't like it, because the other thing is his contract balloons more and more each year as it goes, and he eats up more and more percentage of our salary. And I don't like that. This is an investment that Utah committed to take on, and they're trying to slough it off on another team. And right now, we seem like the team that is the most capable, that may possibly want to do it. And that's why they're talking about us possibly doing it. But I hope that they just decide to pass, and they just like let this talk die down and stuff like that. But once again, it's intriguing. So we want to discover and think about what it could possibly mean also. Evelyn's here. Good morning from Long Beach. I want to stick to our team, please. No new players. This is a great attitude, I think, Evelyn, also. And it's kind of what the general manager and the team president and the coach are saying this summer, is that they want to develop within, that we don't need to make a big splash move. We don't need to trade anybody, really. We don't need to make a big, huge free agency signing. We don't have to depend on a huge draft pick coming in to save us or anything. We have the goods already. We just need to continue on the path we're on. And we are perfectly fine with staying where we are and not making any big deals and continuing to develop within. And I think that this is the kind of strategy that I agree with also. That if we liked what we saw in this past year, development wise, why not continue to discover more further next year with more time and experience together, working and playing together and getting better together. So yeah, I'm with Long Beach Evelyn, who's out there with Snoop Dogg and the LBC right now. Oh yeah, with the DOGG. Yeah, that's Evelyn DOGG out there. All right, let's see. Click to him saying the only thing I would say about Gobert is that he would probably like playing here. Canada has got some French culture. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think he's necessarily a culture fit. Now, I'm trying to do the character assessment. Now, he's a weird French people can be kind of weird. They can be a little snooty at times. I know that's maybe a little bit of a stereotype, but to me, he kind of seems like he's got kind of that French air to him. And the whole thing with the beginning of the pandemic, the way it started and him goofing around with the microphones, like to me, that's kind of a character tell. Like, what you're not very serious. Like, this is a very serious thing. And I'm sure in hindsight, thinking about how stupid he acted with those microphones that day, he's probably thinking, whoa, man, I was a real idiot at that time. Because look at all the people that died since then. And look at all the craziness with the pandemic. Because in some ways, Rudy Gobert is the very epicenter of the beginning of the COVID pandemic. Like he was the one who kind of started it all in a lot of ways. Not that he was the first patient or anything, but he was the thing that kind of caused everything to shut down. And that's very interesting to me. And the fact that he was such a goofball, he's like, oh, he's like touching on the microphones. Maybe that tells me we don't want him because he's a knucklehead. Like, why would you do that at that point in time? If we think that there's like a deadly disease or virus out there, why would you be touching everything like that, Rudy Gobert? So, like, I'm like, maybe we don't want him on our team because he's a knucklehead like that. So, I'm trying to think about it in all kinds of different aspects and be open to the idea of it just in case it does happen. But I really don't think it's a good move. I think that we'd have to give too much up. And Click's saying also, exactly, if we get Gobert, our defensive scheme would not need to change. Not worth it. Yeah, we'd have to be a whole different kind of like way we guarded people and the way we did things at one end and stuff like that. You know what? It's like, it's the kind of thing. It's like we don't have problems right now on our team. It's like kind of like we make this deal. We may have huge problems if we make this deal. So it's a risk assessment in some ways to a degree. That Bobby Webster, you need to be thinking about the risks of doing this as far as with team chemistry, whether he's going to be worth the money and the payment that you're going to have to pay him if you commit to trading to get him on your team and all that kind of stuff. So I lean towards no. No, and that's what we've been saying consistently all week. But I wanted to give it a little bit more attention today and just really think about it. Tom Duke is saying hustle talk was funny. Moments by Chris talking about Nick Nurse and him seeing Kawhi at the same time, like two guys checking out a hot girl. Yeah, hustle. Are you talking about hustle play with Chris Boucher? His last episode before, now he's saying he's officially a free agent. He's not necessarily the Toronto Raptors. It's kind of weird, kind of creepy, but yeah, very interesting stuff that was said on there and stuff like that. You're talking about the Kawhi stuff. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't remember that part exactly, but I think I kind of remember what you're talking about. Maybe I need to go watch it again. I got distracted for a little bit of it. I might have missed a part of it about Kawhi, but I really enjoyed that interview with Chris. Once again, being very open and honest, and he kind of did a tell that made me think he's going to re-sign with us for sure. Because he said at one point, when we come back, we're all better next year. I'm like, you just said when you come back. And that basically means you have to re-sign your contract and be back with us as a unrestricted free agent. So, Chris, do it. Come on. Monique's here. Good to see Superfan Monique. The WNBA is about to expand. Thoughts? Toronto, hello, hello. I think that there's it's not coincidental, Monique, that this talk is going on right now after all the hullabaloo up here about the WNBA maybe coming to Toronto. It's almost like they weren't even talking about expansion, but they heard the Toronto people saying, we want WNBA here. They heard Masai Ujiri mention the WNBA in his press conference last week. So it's now becoming maybe more of like an idea. The reason why I thought that they should have had a WNBA team here years ago, because Toronto just really fits with it. Toronto would totally support it. And in fact, if they had been smart, they maybe should have had a WNBA team here a long time ago, because it would bring more prestige to the league. Because then it's not just an American league with American teams. It has a Canadian team. It makes it an international league. And that in some ways, and also the media here in Toronto in Canada, I think that it would be very equal in some ways to promoting them and covering them. So that it would be really, really good for the WNBA in general to be in Toronto. because I feel like they get such a good stronghold of fandom here. They'd get such a, I mean, people would love it. I mean, I would love it. I want, like I said, I want basketball all year round. We're already missing watching the Raptors play, and it's not even been a month since they've been done. And like we're itching for next season. So why not get the female basketball league out there playing in front of us like during the summer, and that keeps us tided over into it. Oh my gosh, y'all, we got to throw some wrenches here. I keep getting this guy. I'm gonna hide this user. We need to just delete them. Oh my gosh, I don't know what they're talking about. Naked HD XYZ, whatever. But Monique's saying it pisses me off about Gobert every time. Yeah, it's pissing you off about the Gobert thing. To me, I look at it as an opportunity to explore, but not necessarily pull the trigger on, because it is a really big risk, and it is kind of thing that kind of could really backfire and be like a bad move. Like, oh my gosh, we should have never gotten Rudy Gobert kind of thing. So in some ways, it's like, don't even take that risk. Just stay the course. Continue to do what you're already planning on doing. Just because this development has come up where Utah's not happy with him and they've made him available doesn't mean we have to go and get him, because that's the thing. It doesn't necessarily, just because he's there doesn't mean we have to take him. So it's on not on us. It's on them to deal with it themselves. We don't have to bail them out and help them with the situation. So, but yeah, getting back to the WNBA thing, I think that the writing's on the wall. It's inevitable. I think that the commissioner of the WNBA coming out in the last couple of days saying that they're looking at expanding is basically saying, yeah, we're coming, Toronto. So get ready, because the timing is just too good. And listen, one of the reasons why I thought they may not come to Toronto is because of the economics. And in some ways, because we are in Canada, there are different loopholes and problems with money and different things like that, and sorting out how they deal with the league and with regional, with the broadcasting and stuff. You know how it is with NBA Canada and NBA itself, and broadcasting rights are Toronto up here and then not down there. It's that, all that kind of stuff. And it's money kind of things, or like even the feasibility of having a team outside of the country where you have to travel to stuff like that. They had to make sure that it is all economically sound in a way, because the WNBA, it makes money in a different way than the NBA in some ways. So they have to make sure that it's something that would cause them to be more in the black than in the red ink. You know what I'm saying? So, but I think it's a done deal. I think that it just makes so much sense. I think that this city will have a lot of fun. And, we should actually have a Thursday think tank sometime where we talk about what we think the team should be called in relation to the Toronto Raptors as far as the WNBA team, or just like in general, fun things that we could imagine for that team, like for it to be really cool. Like, would they play at Scotiabank Arena? I'm pretty sure they would, but maybe they don't. I don't know where they play and stuff like that. I think they would play at Scotiabank Arena. There's enough open dates during the summer to be able to do it in the arena. And plus, MLSE will want to keep it in house and keep it more cost effective by putting the games in there. If they're going to have Toronto Rock games at the Scotiabank Arena and arena football games, they can have WNBA games there and probably get a pretty good fill in there also. I would say they'd probably be able to fill the lower bowl at least, for sure. If not, I don't know how many people will come in and sit upstairs, but I don't know. The demand could be way bigger in the city for WNBA games than I realize, than I actually realize. All right, let's see. Tom Duke's saying, he said his first time meeting Nick Nurse was the same time Kawhi arrived in town. They both had a moment, not saying anything, but just looking at the clock. I thought that Chris was on our team before Kawhi came. Like I thought he was on the team before. They came at the same time. That doesn't seem exactly right to me. But anyway, I won't dispute what you're saying, Tom, because you're probably exactly right. Kawhi showing up, he was so aloof. He came, did his thing for a year, and then took off. And that's just how it is. Tom Duke's saying, I don't think anyone would look in awe at Rudy if he turned up in TO. Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting idea. You're, as far as guys on the team, you mean like as a leader, he hasn't accomplished as much as Fred. He hasn't accomplished as much as Pascal. So it's kind of like as far as winning a championship. So it's like kind of in a way he's got to take a back seat to that with them. I just don't know, man. The more I think about it, like I was trying to think of the reasons why I would like to have Rudy Gobert on the team and talk about them today. But more and more when we talk about it, I just get turned around to like, this isn't worth it. What is the even point of just trying to think and figure it out? It's just I understand where this could be a real headache and this be a real problem. But then also, could this be also mining gold and getting to the next level and becoming a true Larry O'Brien competitor for the championship by making a big move like this? It's like, maybe the chances are there to a certain percentage, but maybe there's a big, huge gap of like a minefield of folly where it could go completely wrong. It's like maybe you tell me like 85% chance it's going to be a failure, 15% chance it is going to be a success. But it's going to be a huge success. Do you take that gamble then on somebody like Rudy Gobert? I don't know. I don't know. I think that you already have what you got. And like Granny Evelyn saying out in the LBC is like, just let it ride. Let it ride as it's riding right now and keep going in the direction we're already going. All right, let's see. Monique saying news and notes. Sam Decker had his son this week. Oh, that's interesting little tidbit of information. Monique, that means Kevin Harlan is a grandfather because his Sam Decker's wife is the daughter of Kevin Harlan, the NBA announcer. So he has a new grandson. Well, congratulations to Sam Decker. And I'm sorry that you didn't make the team this year. And it's interesting that you continue to tweet about us. She said that you're rooting for us and stuff like that, but sometimes your tweets seem a little salty. I'm just a little like, why are you saying that right now? I'm like, it's a little salty, but congratulations to Sam Decker and his wife, and all the best towards them. I think her name's Olivia. So congratulations, Sam and Olivia, on your new baby boy. And to Grandpa Kevin also. Click to Am saying Adam Silver preaches the way the NBA is international, but they refuse to help us and do what they are supposed to do. Before expanding to other countries, they should keep expanding in Canada. I like this idea. We talked about this a little bit in the last few months about their possibly moving to Mexico City and putting a team in Mexico City to have that balance where, they have a Toronto and then they have Mexico City and they have two international teams on that side. And I think that that will work. But if they aren't going to do that, maybe they do need to evaluate coming back to Vancouver or a really big market that would definitely fill the need and do a good job supporting the team, Montreal. Like if Montreal had an NBA team, that would be absolutely fantastic. And I would love a Toronto Montreal NBA rivalry. If even if it's a half and anything like the Leafs and the Habs, it would be such a fun rivalry to have, especially since we've got 27 to 30 years on them in the league if they do come in. But I like your idea, Click, and I do believe just for sake, because we are kind of the odd, weird team out in the 30 game team league with Vancouver gone. They were kind of the ones with us, and now it's just us. And you're right. I think that there should be another Canadian team in the NBA because in some ways it's better because it'll make these idiots stop talking about us losing our team. And this is something that we'll talk about on a Sunday report. The possibility of the Raptors having to leave Toronto or Canada or not having NBA in Canada at all in general. Is that actual possibility or feasibility, or will that ever possibly happen? And I'll tell you what, it probably won't happen. But the reasons why they may try to make it happen and the reasons why they can't probably make it happen. We'll do that on a Sunday sometime. I'm going to make that a Sunday report. Let's see. But yeah, I like the idea of giving another Canadian city an NBA team. Click 2AM saying he's an offensive liability too. If he ain't catching lobs, what else is he doing? Screens? What else? Yeah, I don't really know him as a very good screener and stuff like that. I think you're right, Click. Like I'm watching some of his highlights recently. A lot of it is just lobs. A lot of it is just really close to the basket. Like he's one of the best players right next to the basket. Like statistically, I think he shoots like 71% right next to the basket, and it's like number one in the NBA in this last year. But still, it's like he's limited because he is very much a close to the basket kind of guy. He has no 3-point shot. He has no like even like inside the 3-pointer, like Serge Ibaka had that little shot at the top of the key kind of shot. He doesn't have that either. So it's like Yeah, there's a lot of liability in his offensive game. Marlon's saying Gobert for a center is way too expensive. That's LeBron James type money, and we'd have to give up key pieces to negotiate with Utah. Okay, this is Marlon's take, and he's a very well respected Raptor freak. And yeah, I tend to agree with this. Like, that's a huge chunk of money for like an all round superstar. One of the things that Masai Ujiri and Nick Nurse talked about is they love two-way players. They love players that do it at both ends of the court. That's part of what they want to build this whole team of the Raptors around two-way players, guys that can play at the defensive end and the offensive end. And well, Rudy's really good on the defensive end, but on the offensive end, there's some limitations there. And that if you're putting that much premium salary, that big of a chunk towards somebody like him, that it better be getting something on both ends of the court is a philosophy that maybe management has also in the situation. But once again, Marlon said his piece on this. He doesn't like the idea of the deal. I don't like the idea of the deal. Click doesn't like the idea of the deal. Evelyn doesn't like the idea of the deal. Tom Duke doesn't like the idea of the deal. Pretty much most of us here are all against getting Rudy Gobert. And I'm with you guys. I'm with you. I think that the key pieces you're saying, Marlon, would be too much. It'd be like giving up at least one of our champions for sure. Would probably have to be in the deal if it's not Pascal, if it's OG, if it's Fred, something like that. And we don't want to do that. We're happy with who we have. And we don't know if this French guy will fit in here and stuff like that. So Lolita's here. Good to see you, Lolita. Just because Gobert is available doesn't mean that he will fit to the Raptors. We have exciting young players that need to grow. So Messiah and Webster will find someone that will be a better fit. Yeah. We're not so top heavy with our salary invested. Like, I know Pascal's the big money guy, but really that's not a huge contract compared to other teams what their big money guy is. So we have a lot of flexibility that is a real strength as a franchise with what we can do as far as moves and stuff. And that's part of the reason why they're saying we could take him on, is because we have that flexibility. And I love what Lolita is saying here. Just because he's available doesn't mean we need to do it. Just because this could happen or it's possible doesn't mean we need to do it. And I really hope that Bobby Webster's thinking that way, that maybe he's exploring the idea of it and maybe how it could maybe work. And hopefully he just comes to the same kind of conclusions that we are coming to today, is that it just maybe not worth the trouble, or it could be there's way more of a chance of failure in making some sort of Gobert trade. So, and I like that Lolita's saying we have exciting young players that we're building on, and those are the people. And I like that it's more spread out. Like we said, we have like 7 or 8 guys that are very good talent wise, and it's a more even playing field. And if you have like too much of a cluster of salary on one guy, in some ways it can cause too much it messes up your balance, is basically what I'm saying. Tom Duke saying, oh, wow, living out west here. What a dilemma if there was a Vancouver team again. Raptors for life. Let's go. Yeah, Tom, you would have to start thinking about it again. If the team like the Grizzlies came back, there are some Vancouver people that really want the NBA to come back again. I've heard them talking about it, and they feel mad that they lost the Grizzlies in the first place because they did really enjoy having them. And listen, the market for Vancouver was really tough to win. At that time, Seattle was still there, and Portland. And you have those 3 teams all in the Pacific Northwest kind of fighting for fans. A lot of Vancouver people were Seattle Supersonics fans, technically, for a long, long time before the Grizzlies showed up. And then when they showed up, it was kind of like, well, I'm still a Sonics fan. And then the Grizzlies left, and then the Sonics left. And then all of a sudden, there's like a dry area for NBA basketball in the Pacific Northwest. It's basically Portland, and that is it. It's crazy. Now, some people have also said recently that somebody like Tom Duke should not be rooting for the Toronto Raptors. Tom, somebody told me that you shouldn't be rooting for the Raptors because you're too far west. And that just because Toronto is the only Canadian team in the league doesn't mean all of Canada should root for it. That's dumb logic to me, by the way. So I say you should root for him, Tom Duke, but they're saying you should be rooting for the Portland Trailblazers because you're all the way over there and they're the closest team to you. So, Tom, maybe you should be a Blazers fan fan. No, you are honorable and always with the Raptors. And even if you guys got another team in Vancouver, you'd stay a Raptor, true blue with the red and purple blood in your heart. I know you would, Tom. And that's what they're saying. Mid Canadians, people in Manitoba, they should be Minnesota fans, is what this fan was saying. Why are you all Toronto fans? You shouldn't get the whole country. I'm like, yeah, motherfucker, we do get the whole country because this is our Canadian team. And when we won the championship in 2019, it wasn't just a championship for Toronto. It was a championship for the whole entire country of Canada. And it's for every Canadian. So no way. This is our whole fan base. We have the whole country. Even if we give a team to Montreal or to Vancouver or something like that, it doesn't matter. Canada's team will be Toronto for the most part anyway. Just like the Blue Jays, same kind of thing. But yeah, that'd be a tough decision, Tom Duke, at that point. But yeah, have you ever thought about becoming a Trailblazers fan? I don't know. Click2am saying it's too late. They can't take us out now. Toronto has emerged as a global city. If they do, the entire country of Canada will literally tarnish the image of the NBA. They won't recover from that. That's an interesting aspect of why it wouldn't happen. But you really kind of got it close. It's really because this is a cash cow. This city is a cash cow for the NBA. They're making so much money. This is one of the most profitable franchises in the league, the Toronto Raptors. So if you're in the business of money and making money, you don't get rid of one of your cash cows. You don't get one that's actually functional and doing very well. And that is probably the main reason why the Raptors will never, ever probably lose their team, is because this market will sustain it and it's very successful and they make money. They make money for their merchandise. They make money. We were 30th in ticket sales in the arena, but that was only because we had that shutdown in the middle of the season and we lost a bunch of games where we could have gotten more capacity, but we were 30th in attendance. But normally we're in the top 10 in attendance in the NBA each year. So there's all kinds of reasons, most of it's economics, that they will not ever take this team from us, because the economic problems the Grizzlies were having in Vancouver will never happen here in Toronto. And that is a big reason why I click. So don't get too worried. Even though I talk about this, the reason why I talk about this is because there is a contingency of Americans that want the NBA to be all American and for us to be gone, that they don't want Toronto to be in the league. And I just want to go through the whole idea of why they think that way, and then also why that they're not going to get what they want. So that'll be that Sunday special report about the Raptors, and are they in trouble for having to be moved for whatever reason, whether it's the pandemic or whatever. Monique saying Chris Boucher and me continue to put Shaq on blast. Gonna love it. Yeah, he did call out Shaq in that hustle play this past weekend. He did talk trash about how these guys don't know what they're talking about. I love it, Monique, when we all sound like each other. Like Chris sounds like us when he's saying stuff like you would say, and then like I come around and say the same thing. It's like we're all saying the same thing. Shaq and Charles, you are not paying close enough attention to Toronto. You don't even watch our games. And that's what Chris said too. I'm saying, these guys aren't even watching us, is like what he said. It's hilarious. All right, let's see. Monique wants to touch more on Julian Champagnie. Now, I really like the idea of him being in our summer camp, but I do not want to spend a draft pick on him. Like, we have the 33rd pick. This is a very interesting pick. It's a pick where we need to get somebody that's kind of hidden, somebody who may fall to us, like that nobody else gets before then. I have a couple of ideas for people that I like, really, really like, and would love to see at 33. But Julian Champagnie isn't one of them. And the main reason why is because I really look at them as being the same player. Like Justin and Julian have very similar kind of game. And, it may be too duplicitous. Like, do we need two Justin Champagnies? But listen, if Julian does not get drafted, like his brother didn't either, and he wants to come to our training camp and work with us and try and get a spot on our team, I'm all for that. But I don't think we should pick him in our 33. That I don't think that he'd be worth that pick. Because, listen, he's a twin to his brother, and his brother didn't get drafted. So I really don't expect Julian to get drafted. So he's going to be undrafted, and then he'll be able to decide who he wants to come to training camp or summer league with. And hopefully he'll pick us so that he can go play with Justin and run up and down the court with him. Now, whether he sticks or makes the team, that's another whole thing altogether. But That's kind of how I look at it. I do not want us to pick him though. I think that it would be a waste of a pick in some ways because I think that he's going to probably just slide through the draft anyway. But I have heard him getting picked in the around the 40s in the league and stuff like that. I may be completely wrong. But to me, it's like it's worth the gamble. Like either he's going to get picked by someone late or he's going to fall right through and be undrafted like his brother was the year before. And we can invite him to our camp this summer and have him involved still. That's the way I look at it happening, Monique, actually, is like I'd much rather get a center prospect at 33. Like I went and looked at Kai Soto. I've gone and looked at Christian Coloco. I've looked at John Butler Jr. I'm looking at these big guys that are projects. And that's what I'd like to see get picked up at 33 by the Raptors in the second round of the 2022 draft is one of these centers that look kind of talented that may be kind of a couple years away, but they're on the pipeline for us to come down the road. And I like those three names that I just mentioned. Kai Soto is like a player that looks like he plays like a swing man, like a slasher. He's like 7 foot something, and he plays like a guard, like he plays like a wing. And that's really interesting to me. And then you've got John Butler Jr. from Florida State, Leonard Hamilton. He just played 1 year for him this past year, and he's like 7'1", and he's a really good 3-point shooter. Like he's way better 3-point shooter than any of our big guys on the team right now. And his stroke is really sound. I looked at him and like I also like a lot of the shot blocking and stuff like that, but he's super skinny. He'd have to put on some weight and he'd definitely be a project, but he's like a Channing Frye. He's the kind of guy that can shoot a lot of threes for a 7-foot guy. And that is super intriguing to me. And then Coloco, he's very interesting. He's very similar to Boucher in some ways to me, maybe a little bit stronger, interesting guy. And I've looked at Kofi Coburn too. And out of all those guys, I think Kofi is maybe the one that's not as NBA adaptable. Like he's the slowest to me, like as far as things. And his game is very close to the basket. And the other guys have a little bit more out from the basket and stuff like that. But those are those three names: Kai Soto, John Butler Jr., and then Christian Coloco. Those are the three names that I'm super intrigued in from looking at their highlights as far as skill set and what they could possibly do to add not only rim protection and height, but also some offensive capabilities away from the basket. So that's what I'm looking at. Marlon's saying, yes, Lolita, I agree. And we also have Fred, Pascal, Scotty to pay, and we have Chris and Thad to possibly re-sign. Yeah, it's like if you get Gobert, you're saddled with him, and you don't have the kind of leeway to reward and pay your guys that you want to keep around that are currently on the team. So it's really that kind of thing. It's like you don't want to put so many eggs, chickens in that basket, like in that one with Gobert, and then it messes you up, and you can't re-sign any of the quality guys around him, and they all walk and go to other teams. Which would you rather have? One big tower, Eiffel Tower guy, or would you like to have the set of the guys that we already have right now? It's what I'm looking at right here. Tom Duke's laughing. My brother is a huge Blazers fan. I can't do that. Brotherly rivalry is our thing. Okay, so your brother's got the Trailblazers, and you did. Okay, this is something that you've had to contemplate and think about. Listen, you got the right one, baby. You got the right one. Being Toronto Raptors Nation is the right place, Tom Duke. And you couldn't be a Raptor freak with the Raptor freak every morning if you didn't do it. That's right. So yes, all right. Listen, maybe your brother should come to the stream someday. We can talk some Blazers basketball with him too. Talk a little smack, a little brotherly smack talk here. I'd love to see that. Tom Duke and his brother talking smack about NBA. Monique's saying Drake continues to touch on WNBA in Toronto. Well, there's a lot of advocates for this right now. Drake's smart for that. Masai said something about it. I mean, Masai's the big one. Like if Masai's saying this and Larry Tannenbaum's like, this is very intriguing idea, Masai. Maybe we should do this. The WNBA is listening, and they've come out with a press conference, say they want to expand. If they're going to expand to 2 more teams, Toronto better be one of them because it would just make sense. Like you got to look at also how many of the teams in the WNBA are in NBA cities already, and which other NBA cities are lacking a WNBA team. Those would be the competition for us to get a WNBA team is other cities. And now those markets are probably not as big and attractive as Toronto, Canada. Is there maybe little small places like does Milwaukee have a WNBA team? I don't think so. But would they rather have a WNBA team in Milwaukee or have one in Toronto? That's the kind of thing they're probably looking at. And Toronto would be big time, very smart. And Drake, keep pushing it. Keep pushing it. I'm telling you. Click saying we need to draft a shooter. I like that too. Like if we're not going to get a center project, because I think that like a early second round draft pick is kind of a spot to get a center project in my eyes. But if we're not going to do that, let's get an established shooter, not somebody who's coming in where they got to work out their mechanics, somebody that's already a bona fide put it in the basket every single time, hooper, shooter, guy that's just already comes that way. And we know that we're getting a dead eye right away. That's what I'm saying. But also, once again, we don't necessarily want a short shooter. Like we don't want a guy who's from 6 foot to maybe 6'5" and in that range. We want somebody who's at least 6'5", like Gary Trent Jr., to fit in with the position list, but also a dead eye. Can we find that on the Venn diagram of players that are available at 33 in the draft this year? Maybe, probably, yeah. I hope we can. But yeah, I like this idea. If we're not going to get rim protection and get a possible center project, we need to get a dead eye shooter that comes ready into the NBA. Not somebody who's got to figure it out, somebody who's already a very comfortable, competent, confident shooter that's not going to have to figure it out in the league. Just going to come in blazing. Click's also saying Drake would make a diss track to the NBA if they take us out. Yeah, I think they would. He would. I mean, listen, it's not realistic. I know I say it, and maybe me saying it is partly like Fox News kind of stuff. Should we be worried that we might lose our team? Fox News fear. Boo! But there's a lot of rumblings. There are people out there that talk about this, and that's why I want to put the rumors to rest. I want to get information to all of us Raptor fans about whether we should realistically have a fear of this happening or not. But yeah, I like your ideas about what would happen if it did happen. I'm sure that track would be pretty fire. Drake writing a diss track on the NBA and stuff like that. But then he loses, like maybe he wouldn't be able to sit at courtside at a lot of games. Maybe Adam Silver's like, "You're banned, Drake. You wrote such a nasty song. You called me a Sith Lord." It's like you're out of here, Drake. He's like mad at Adam. Adam Silver's mad at him. Click 2am saying we don't need more projects though. We have enough. We should draft shooters for instant impact. Okay, that's your philosophy. The only reason why I say this is because I feel like we've never had a pipeline of big men coming through the system. And that if we've already got a core of guys that we're kind of using now, we don't need something right away. Why not have somebody coming down the line that's like around 7 foot that is learning our system and getting better and better? He's not necessarily an impact guy right away. That's the only reason why I said that. But I agree. If we want something that'll really work now for tomorrow, that'll help us next season, we should get a shooter that has a certain amount of height that can be a bench scorer for us right away as a rookie. And I'm okay with that. That's a good want to have on our want list for this summer. Is that's a pretty good idea. So I agree with you, Click. Is like if we're gonna choose one or the other, and we can have one or the other, and that's the pick that Bobby's trying to decide at 33. Go with the shooter that's ready to help us right now in our core, as far as like maybe being that bench 3-point shooter that we really desperately need, because that is a bigger need than possibly the center need. Is what yeah, for sure. I agree with that. Lolita's saying the Maple Leafs are on the playoffs. The Blue Jays are doing well. The Raptors 1 or 2 players away. Diversity city, good food, beautiful country, beautiful people. What's not to love? Yes, Lolita. Yes, I agree. And that was echoed in Nick Nurse's statement about the city and why would anybody want to come and play for Toronto as a free agent? It's like this is a great fan base. It's an international city. It's so much to offer. So much interesting and beautiful city, clean, pretty safe, all these different things. Really good things about this. You're exactly right, Lolita. And that's part of the reason why people can't take this away from us is because we're doing it right. And taking it away from us is just causing it's for no reason. It's like, listen, this team is really run well. It's making money. If it ain't broke, don't fix it is basically the kind of thing. But yeah, I agree with this. The WNBA would do really well here, and other people coming to Toronto, they'd enjoy it. And players do want to play in Toronto. That's a myth that they tried to push for the longest time. Don't want to go to Canada because it's too cold. Well, it's just as cold in Chicago. It's just as cold in New York and stuff like that. So Monique saying Mo Bamba and Chris Boucher picture that. So pumped if it does happen. if we get Mo Bamba this summer and we don't have to give up anything else, and he just comes to our team and fits, and as one of the guys like off the bench leaves, and he comes in and takes their spot, that would be badass. Like honestly, I'm more and more I think about Mo Bamba. I think he is the realistic, perfect person for us to get as the problems that we need for rim protection and size and stuff like that. So I'm going to keep championing this idea of getting Mo Bamba all summer. And we'll see if Orlando wants to match any offer for him as far as his restricted free agency. And maybe we luck out and all of a sudden, boom, he's in the red and black with us next season. And that will be really fun because he can really run up and down the court. And you're right. That would be like a weird Twin Towers. Re-sign Chris Boucher. We get Mo Bamba. And then, boom, we have these two shot blockers we can put on both sides of the basket. And nobody's scoring on us down low. No, because there's going to be swatting left and right. Bonjour. Every which way is going to be going on. Skater Dies here. Good morning, my guy. Great to see you 2 days in a row. Wish I could be in the chat, but I work in a lumber mill. Whoa, I'm definitely listening. You're killing it. Thanks, man. I appreciate it, man. Well, listen, I hear you, Skater Die. Even if you can't hear me completely over the grind and the saw, the lumber mill. Oh, yeah, man. It's like I'm starting to think about Monty Python. I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay. Or like just like chopping down them trees, putting them through the saw, putting them in the water, send them down the river. Oh, man, that's awesome, man. Oh, I hope you stay safe there and you enjoy your day at work. And I'm glad you're able to hear me and then enjoy my Raptors talk this morning, Skater Die. Keep coming, man, every morning, 9:30. I will be here. Monique's saying, I just posted something on the draft on Facebook. Check it out. A whole month to go. All right, Monique, I'll go to Facebook for you. Let me see what you put up real quick. Super fan Monique.
November 3rd, 1995.
Let's see. Where is it, Monique? I don't see it. What is it on the draft? I'll you know what? I'll come find it later. You trying to find out what I just posted something on draft on on Facebook. Check it out. A whole month to go on a shooter. Yeah, I want to look at the different shooters. I've been looking at the big men mostly for draft prospects, but I will go and look at all the shooters now also since Click and different people were talking about the shooter possibilities. You know, there's different names that I've seen different ways. That's kind of why I like John Butler Jr. out of Florida State because he does really have a good three-point shot. Like he has a very nice stroke, and it looks like it's going to translate to the NBA really well because of his height. And in some ways, he shoots a little bit like Kevin Durant. Which is something I really like about him. But all right, let's see. Summer Lowson, I'd be impressed if you can do a Christopher Walken impression. All right, I can actually. All right, let me get this right. I want to think about what I want to say. You try to come to me with this right now, but you're not even trying to see what I want. No, it's not on right now. I have to think about a line that he has, like something like that. I don't know. I could do him sometimes. Sometimes I have to hear him, and then I can really mimic him. Yeah, that may have been like a B minus done. Well, all right, thanks, Tom. You guys thought it was okay. Oh, now it's turning red. But yeah, I love doing impressions. I'll at least try it. I mean, that kind of sounded like him, I guess. You know, the best way to do a Christopher Walken impression is dance. Because did you know that Christopher Walken has a contract stipulation in any movie that he does, he has to have a dancing part in it. If you watch any of his movies, there's always a part where he's like doing a little bit of like, because it's in his contract. It's like kind of like Robin Williams had it in his contract that if any movie he's working, he has to hire, they have to hire homeless people to work on it and give them jobs. That was in his like contract if you wanted him to be in his movie. And the thing for Christopher Walken is if you wanted him in the movie, you have to have a dancing scene for him. So if you watch any Christopher Walken movie, you will see him dancing at some point. So there's a little fun fact, stuff like that. But yeah, that's a tough one. I can do them really good on certain days, but for some reason I'm not getting it right exactly in my head right now. But yeah, he's one of my favorite actors too. Like he's awesome, Christopher Walken, and I love the work that he did on. Oh, here's one. Needs more cowbell. Yeah, needs more cowbell. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, he danced in that movie. That's right, because he played Leo's dad in Catch Me If You Can, right? He played Leo's dad in that movie. Yeah. And he's like in the he's in the Weapon of Choice, like Fatboy Slim video. Like he's dancing on the ceiling and stuff like that. But he really loves dancing. Like that is a big thing. He's like, I don't even think he considers himself an actor. I think he likes to say, I'm actually a dancer. I'm actually a dancer. I'm not really an actor. All right, Monique's saying, would you grade the Raptors this season, or did you do it already, Lex? All right, I didn't really do this officially. If I'm going to say the season, as far as expectations, my own personal expectations, what the expectations of the media were, what your expectations were, Monique, as far as the expectations of general Raptor fan, I would say that this season was an A minus at least, because we really, honestly, we did exactly what I hoped we would do. We met my expectations, which were pretty high compared to everybody else. I said, make the playoffs and just have a good year for building our young players with development. And we accomplished that. Like this year was a fantastic success as far as getting Scotty Barnes tons of minutes on the court, getting Precious Achua to develop and open up more, grow as a player, and just other things as far as like getting Pascal back and back online at an all NBA level after his injury this off season, different things like that. Getting Fred established as the team captain now in Kyle's place. All of these things went really smooth this year. So, and even with COVID problems, even with the problems with the arena not being able to have fans in there this season, we weathered a lot of these problems and went way above our expectations. So I say A minus. That is the grade I will give the Toronto Raptors for their season this year. If they'd gotten past Philadelphia, I would have bought that up a little bit more. Like they beat Philadelphia, got the second round, A. If they'd gotten past the second round and even higher, A plus. If they'd gotten past the second round, I would have given them an A plus. But I'll give them an A minus for this year. That is my very sincere, honest assessment of how the Raptors did with expectations going in and how they did on the other end. A minus. That's what I say, Monique. All right, y'all. We're just about in an hour. Just wanted to do a little think tank today. Just really thinking about Rudy Gobert and whether we want to step in this or not. And maybe if we step in it, we won't like it because it might smell on our shoe. But maybe we step into it and like, we got a defensive player that's a badass and that we have the best defense in the entire NBA. But it's so murky and cloudy about whether that would actually translate or happen here. Because could his numbers go up if he came here from Utah? Like, would we have geniuses on our coaching staff unlock things in Rudy Gobert's game that they could not unlock there in Utah for whatever reason? It's very interesting. Summer's saying, I don't see how we can match the salaries, maybe a three-way trade. Yeah, I was looking at this specifically this morning, Summer, and the way I looked at it was like basically we'd have to give them like Pascal and Cam would line up salary-wise. Pascal and Cam, or it would be like two of the three of these guys. It would be like Fred, OG, and Gary. Pick two of those guys, send them to Utah. Any of those three, two of those guys for Rudy Gobert. Then it would work also that way. But otherwise, it's like, that's too much if you ask me. Like already you're saying Pascal and Cam. No, I won't do that because we don't want to do that. And then you're saying OG and Gary. I wouldn't do that because OG's too special and he's amazing defensive player in himself. He may be just as good as a Gobert on defense. Some people may have their head explode by hearing me say that, but I truly believe that OG Anunoby is one of the top defensive players in the league. And then, if you say Fred and Gary, I don't think that they would do that. Like, they don't want two little guys for that. So I think that OG and Pascal would definitely have to be in the deal, one of those two guys. And you're right. I don't think that it work out. Now, a three-way trade, that would be weird because then that would infer that we wouldn't be getting, would we still get Gobert? Maybe we'd get somebody else and Gobert goes somewhere else and we get the things from that other team, the third team that's unnamed. So I don't know. This is all stuff for Bobby Webster to figure out for sure. And hopefully he's just smart about it. Like I said, don't do something just for the sake of doing something, Bobby Webster. Go ahead and just stick to your guns. That may be the smartest thing that you can do because the possibilities right now may be good, but there may be possibilities that are much better and then by over the summer, and then maybe even next summer. And you want to allow yourself to have quick lateral movement like Precious does on defense, to be able to move towards whatever you want to do with the roster and like the contracts and stuff like that. And Gobert will not allow that. He won't. Skater Dice saying Donovan Mitchell. Yeah, that's the other name from out of Utah Jazz that is getting bandied around as far as like possibly sending him towards us and stuff like that. He's very similar to Gary Trent to me in some ways. Like they're the same kind of role on the team as scorers. So I don't necessarily say like Donovan Mitchell, he would be an upgrade in some ways over Gary, but is he as good on defense in some ways? It's like Gary became this whole new other player, like with his defensive stuff this year. So it's a little, I don't know, skate or die. But hey, be careful at the lumber mill today, and all the best, guys. I appreciate y'all joining me today. Just want to get under an hour here. I'll be back tomorrow for the Friday Freakout. I appreciate everybody. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit that red subscribe button. It really helps me out. All right, let's go, Raptors Nation. The future is so bright for the Raptors, and we are a part of that nation. Oh, yeah. Let's see real quick. Monique saying, did you see some reports say Oladipo to Raptors? Hell no. Injury prone. That's one we could talk about maybe next week. Victor Oladipo on the Raptors. How would that work? Would it work? And Lolita's saying, our young Raptors know now what it takes to be on the playoffs. Next season will be fun to watch, something to watch. Excited and look forward to the growth coming. Yeah, they got their taste. They're ahead of guys like Kate Cunningham, Jalen Suggs, Evan Mobley. These guys know what the playoffs are going to be a little bit like more than these other guys. They have the experience and they'll know how to prepare for it better. I don't think that there's a day that's gone by since they got eliminated that Scotty Barnes hasn't decided that he is thinking about this every single day and how he would do everything, how he would do it differently, and how if he gets the next chance, he's not going to squander it. He's going to come in there with a whole kind of different attitude. I'm very excited about the prospect of that. All right, Tom, dude, have a great day. Let's go Raptors. You guys have a great Thursday. It's beautiful in Toronto. Please get outside, whatever part of the world you're in right now, the LBC and summer lows over in Asia. Tom Duke's on the West Coast. I hope this is sunny and bright wherever you Raptor freaks are. All right, I'll see you tomorrow morning, y'all. Woo!